Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Yep, okay. All righty, sounds good. Yes, and I see the captioning, so that is great. So, all right, so just to make sure that everyone knows, yes, the meeting will be starting in a few minutes, but first, a brief overview of our services here at the Miami-Dade Public Library System. So we encourage you to download our mobile app. That way you can access us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there are materials, books or movies or whatnot that have been released in the last year or so, and it is not part of our collection, we encourage you to submit a suggestion for purchase. Because when that happens and you put your library card information and your name and contact information, you will be amongst the first to have that item on hold, and then you are one of the first to have access to it. We have mobile printing available. You can send your requests from anywhere and pick them up at our library or any of our 50 branches of your choice. Everyone is entitled to 25 free copies per day, whether it be color or black and white. If you go over the 25, it's 10 cents for black and white and 25 cents per color. We have libraries at your door because, sometimes you can't make it out to the library. So we will mail items to you free of charge. We just ask that you return those items to one of our 50 branches. We have Wi-Fi hotspots available. That way, if you're traveling, doing your photography, you don't have to depend on the Wi-Fi that might be available there. You can have it right in your pocket in any of the 48 contiguous states. So if you're interested, you can use your library card. Please go to our information desk and they can make that request for you. We're requesting for volunteers for Project Lead. That way you can help an adult learner meet their literacy goals. They will train you. You don't have to be an educator to do so. We have Library for Your Teens, You Make Miami, You Media Miami. This exposes teens to technology, photography, 3D printing, painting, robotics, and much more. Not here at our branch, but you can find out more information on our website. We have Playaway launch pads available. If you have any kids or grandkids or young people around that are between the ages of 0 and 10, this is a great way for them to have preloaded educational programs available right there at the tip of their fingers, and you do not have to have internet connection to enjoy that. We have a toy library. Why spend money when we have a toy library based in our main branch? This way, you're able to borrow toys for 30 days and then return them to any of our branches. We have the Braille and Talking Books Library that covers Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. This is hundreds of thousands of books, magazines, periodicals. You are sent a reader, and there are cartridges that are mailed to you free of charge, and also so you can return them as well. And that is based in our North Branch. We do have information about that as well in our information area. If you or someone that you know is unable to visit the library due to disabilities or caregiving, our Connections Home Library Service is here to support you. We have a staff of librarians who curate materials that are mailed directly to your home, and of course, free return postage. And with our website, you have so many opportunities through our learning and training area. You're able to get free access to periodicals such as Miami Herald, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Consumer Reports, all by using your library card. Also, we have LinkedIn Learning. You get access to over 16,000 courses. You don't have to pay for them because you have your card. We have our Adult Learning Academy, homework help and tutoring. So that will prepare you for if you wanted to take courses in Spanish, French, Portuguese, even citizenship classes. Please definitely check out our website to do so. We have access to ebooks and audiobooks for free, either with Libby by Overdrive or Hoopla. That way you can make the request directly from the app and you have this service. So let's say Sometimes books are not available as a physical copy, but you can access it through your phone, through your tablet, even through your television. All right, and also with Freegal Music. We have our Junior Environmental Rangers that meets on the last Thursdays of the month. That's more like a STEAM program for kids. If you or anyone you know are interested in earning volunteer hours, we have our Plarning program. This is where folks take 75 bags and you can assemble them into what we call plarn or plastic yarn, and then those balls are transferred to our Country Walk branch, and we have a crochet group called Helping Hands that transform those plastic balls of yarn into these beautiful mats that are distributed to our homeless populations. We have our Perfect Match cat adoption. If you are interested in having a furry companion, they will be here on the second Saturdays of the month at 10 o'clock. We love our dogs here at Pinecrest, and so these are part of our Canine Assistant Reading Enhancement dogs, including Alani, Snuffles, and Avi the Poodle. They come here. A lot of times kids may feel self-conscious about reading to adults, but they will love reading to a dog. So you're more than welcome to bring your little ones out so they can participate. Our South Florida Writers Association meets on the first Saturdays of the month here at 10:30 a.m. We have our poetry soiree on the first Wednesdays of the month at 1 p.m. Journaling for Wellness is a 5-part series that has returned that meets on Mondays at 11. And we love our book clubs. We have our local author series with Catherine Shields. That's actually happening tomorrow at 6 p.m. in person here at Pinecrest. Our cybersecurity welcome, how not to be hacked, meets here on the first Wednesdays. We have a cybersecurity professional who will teach you how you can prevent bad things to happen to you through the internet. Our Genealogical Society of Greater Miami meets on Mondays at 11, and there's special presentations on the first Saturdays at 3 p.m. We also have a presentation of Miami Pioneers of Dade. They're going to have an in-person presentation regarding digitizing historical photos here on Saturday, December the 14th. If you're interested in painting, but maybe you need that motivation of having other people painting around you, our Painting Together group is going to be back on Thursdays at 11:30. It's not a painting class. It's basically a time for you to, enjoy other people painting, but it kind of motivates you to work on your own projects as well. We have our book clubs, as I said, great book clubs and great conversations that is here on second and third Saturdays. Our Tertulia Literaria is basically the Spanish language book club on the last Tuesdays of the month at 10. History book club, this was founded by some former history professors. This is on the second Saturdays of the month. And our popular titles, the Good Book Hybrid Book Club, led by our branch librarian, Ellen Book. The next meeting is going to be December 5th at 6. We have yoga on Tuesdays at 6:30. Just bring a mat and yourself, of course. And Journey Through Your Inner Child, Unlocking Memories and Unveiling Hidden Rules. That's on Friday, December the 6th. We have PFLAG meetings, Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gay Children, support group, 4th Saturdays of the month. We have a puzzle swap. If you're into jigsaw puzzles, you don't know what to do with all of them, bring them here. There's other folks that will happily trade with you. Our next event is going to be Saturday, January the 11th. There are also going to be a jigsaw puzzle competition. If you need to renew your driver's license, you don't have to go to the DMV. Make an appointment with us. We have the Florida Licensing on Wheels that comes here monthly. The next time they're scheduled to be here is Wednesday, November the 20th. From appointments start at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can ask our information desk to see what appointments are available. No driving tests, but you can get your documentation there. Art of Foraging South Florida with Rebecca Wood. There's food all around us. This is going to be happening on the 16th at 2 p.m. in person and on Zoom. Daughters of the American Revolution, they meet here on Tuesdays at 10. We have the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue will be here for their HELP training. It's Health Emergency Life Protection course. Basically, what things you would have to do between calling 911 and fire rescue arriving. They will teach you the techniques to save someone's life. And we have museum passes for free with your library card. You're able to get a pass for different museums across town. You check out a pass that covers admission for 4 people. You can use it once during the 7 days, and we have a list at our information desk. We have the 50th anniversary of the Friends of the Miami-Dade Public Library. That's going to be happening this weekend. And enough of me. This is not the reason why you came. You came for your meeting. So it's going to take us just a few seconds so we can switch over. And that's it. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Just in case.
Oh, yeah, I will be back there. Oh, yeah.
Do you want to speak or do you want me?
I have to do my connection.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to renew my library card, do a lot of stuff.
Yes, we just like a sampling of what we do. So definitely. So this was like here because it'll be attached to the owl, but it'll be out of your way. And then you just stick it for
Needing the HDMI.
Oh, okay, great.
Hi.
Yeah, and there's an excellent chance that if you had a library card at some point, we probably still have you in our system. So you can always go to our circulation desk, our customer service. That's the front desk that you saw when you walked in. Just show them your photo ID because we need proof that you're a resident of Miami-Dade, and they can easily just replace your card. I mean, we did do a purge a little bit ago because, computer data is.
This is a while ago. Hope I don't still owe you guys a book.
Well, see, this is a great thing. Because of the pandemic, we are now a fine-free system. So that means that when you check out the material, it will automatically renew twice unless somebody else is requested. And once you return that item, whatever fines go away. We will only charge you a fine if we assume that you have lost it. Maybe you were touring around the Everglades and like popped it down over in the water. So therefore, we would want a replacement of that. But generally, we don't want you to pay fines. We want you to come and enjoy the library.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Of course, back here. So if anything explodes, which it will not, I will be here. So let's see. Let me just make sure this. Let's see. And you're connected, right?
Yes, I am connected.
Okay.
I will never.
Yeah. Okay, you can go. Now you're. So I'm gonna hold on to this,
All right.
and you're all set.
And when the speaker speaks,
And actually, this, it's gonna pick it up from here, so you don't have to worry about it. The owl is gonna pick up everything.
okay,
Okay?
how about the speaker, the camera,
Yeah,
the
if-
speaker?
Yeah, so basically, anytime this moves, if you notice at the top, this
Yeah.
is what your folks see. So unless you share your screen where you're sharing this slide, they're gonna see this up here.
Okay, I
See
got
me?
you.
Okay.
The
So-
wide angle
Yes.
view.
Did you want to use the microphone for this?
Robert, you want to use the microphone?
Well, I gotta announce.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I make an announcement?
Sure, you can make an announcement. Okay, but, make it speedy.
I'll try.
Did you turn it on?
No, I got a loud enough voice.
Okay, awesome. Just let me.
Well, you may want to just for the recording and
Oh.
everything.
So
Is this where it works?
Yep. Sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. All right, well, welcome everybody. This is our brand new new facility. I'm very excited about this. I cannot read my stuff. All right, so I'll make this quick. I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you for showing up, and I'm very glad to be back again, meeting in person. I mean, we did a little bit, but Zoom is fun, but it's always better to meet in person. So for some of the people that are new, do we have online not members?
There's only one person that I saw as a name.
Oh, okay.
On the list.
Well, I'll just do a quick history. We started back in September of 2014, so this is our 10th year. We've been meeting in Homestead up till about COVID, and then we had to go and do the Zoom like most other people. And then we were meeting in another place, and then that didn't work out. And then just about a couple months ago, Delphin, thank God, ran into somebody who works here, Ellen Book. She introduced us to this beautiful room and all these wonderful things. So now we're meeting here, and we're very happy. So the South Florida National Parks Camp, we are a membership-based club, but here, meeting here, everything is open to the public and it's free. So the club is about helping members to improve their photography skills while we support our local national parks, which is Biscayne, Everglades, Dry Tortugas, and Big Cypress. And we do that through the Florida National Parks Association, the FNPA. And if you do become a member of the club, you will become a member of that, as well as the Florida Camera Club Council, which is the statewide camera club. So what we do, quickly, we do one meeting a month, like here. So it's the second Wednesday of the month, 6 o'clock. You can do it in person or via Zoom. We have one photography field trip a month. Could be anytime. We have a photo image review once a month. That's via Zoom. And we have a post-processing section, also via Zoom. And throughout the year, we do trips. Sometimes we go camping, sometimes we stay in a hotel. We have opportunities to present our work in galleries, and we like to have fun. Most of us. So what's coming up? Next Wednesday, we have our frame it. Maybe. Well, then I'll do it. If he's not gonna do it, I'll do it.
Okay.
We have photos. Frame it is where we have members send in their images and we just pull them up on a computer and we talk about them, what we like, what we don't like, that kind of thing. And the theme colors. The 23rd is our field trip. We're going to the Cypress Dome, which is what Robert's going to be talking about tonight. And the 4th then is our photo finish. Well, I will be talking about how to create holiday images, holiday creations with our images, you know, like Christmas cards and little, you know, digital things if you like. So that'll be fun. I'll skip the rest. We'll talk about that next month. So we've got a lot going on every month. And like I said, this is always free to come to meetings, but if you want to participate in some of our other events, you have to join the club. And if you're interested, you're always welcome to test this out first before you pay. So let me know and we'll let you come to one of our events. All right, I think that's all in a nutshell. So, being our first meeting here in the Pinecrest Library, we had to have a wonderful. One of our original founders, Robert Chaplin. Come on up, Robert. No?
Yeah.
Okay. See what you're doing.
I didn't know if you had Anthony or somebody else come in. That's why.
No, he's the only. Yeah, no. There were what, five of you? 5 original founders back in 2014, and Robert was the head photographer, so he's still part of our group. We don't ever let him go. Anyway, Robert's going to talk about how to prepare to go and photograph in a cypress dome, which we're going to be doing next weekend, hopefully. Hopefully there's no hurricane. And so what you're going to see and how to prepare and all that. That's all I have. Thank you all again.
So, who doesn't know who I am? That's awesome.
I'm looking at you up right there.
So I'm a legend in my own mind. So I was flying back from Alaska. I used to do workshops. Some of you guys have heard this story. I love to tell stories. Flying back from Alaska, and I don't remember the workshop. I think it was in Denali or something. And from where were we going from? I think it was from Anchorage to Seattle, and my plane was delayed. And so when I get back in, I'm hearing my name on the thing. There's cars picking me up at one airplane, getting me on the airplane that's supposed to bring me direct flight back to Miami. I was the last guy on the plane. And as I'm walking, I had a seat all the way in the back. And as I'm walking to the back, I'm getting the stink eye. They were sitting out there waiting for me for about 20 minutes. And I get to the back, and this little girl said, I put my camera bag up in the thing, my tripod up there, and this young lady looks at me and says, "Excuse me, sir, are you a famous photographer?" And I said, well, it depends. Do you live in Homestead? And she goes, no, sir. I said, no. So, now I'm becoming more renowned because now I'm in Pinecrest, for crying out loud. So, like Barbara said, I'm one of the founding directors of this club. We turned it over, made it a member-run club, and I got to tell you, our directors are really happy to see it hit its 10th year. After 5 years, the directors all pulled away from it, the founding directors, and I think I'm the only one you guys have made an honorary member to keep me coming back. It's great. So, but anyway, we appreciate that it's hit its 10th year. If I'm not mistaken, our intent is to support our national parks, like Barb said, and you just gave a sizable donation to the Florida National Parks Association to support our parks, which is what this club does. And I'm not saying what? Sure. $2,000, right? $2,000. Now, the other thing about the membership, I think, is 85, and then $20 of that goes to as a donation from you goes to the club. And that makes you a member of the club, with a member of the Florida National Parks Association. I'm the philanthropic chair of that association right now, and the vice chair coming in, which means that you get a discount at our stores inside Everglades National Park. So you take advantage of it. I think it's only 15 or 20% discount, but it's not just Everglades, Acadia, Smoky Mountains. You go to any park store and they reciprocate with the discounts. Anyway, enough of that.
We just have the cards from the people, so I'll be sending them out this week.
Awesome.
Next week.
So you have the renewals, the extra money had gone in to support the parks like we wanted to do. So I figured that the Miami-Dade County Library can have a commercial, the FNPA can have a commercial too. So anyway, getting started. So what Barb wanted me to do, we're going to try to do a swamp walk. I just recently come off of some surgery. I may or may not be able to do it yet. I am going to come out camping with you guys. But she wanted me, for some folks, to show you what it was like and prepare for walking in the cypress stone. I took it farther than that because I was afraid all of you guys have either been walking with me already or you've already been in the swamp. Are you a member of the club? Does she?
No, she's been around.
Oh, you have? Have you had before? Well, see, yeah, possible because I don't remember shit.
Probably not.
So I want to apologize for not remembering. But anyway, so what I'm going to do though, I'm going to show you what the watershed is from the Everglades. The Everglades more than just a cypress stone. Then I'm going to show you some of the clients, and we may or may not get some of my pictures. So the intent is to share some experiences of walking in the Everglades and how to prepare for it the best that you can. So preparing for it, Barb had an immersive Everglades experience. My spell check said it was wrong, so I left it out. Uh-oh. Am I plugged in to my?
It should be plugged in. Let me make sure I'm clicked in here. Try now.
My USB? Yep.
Hey, you're plugged in there.
There it is. All right, so this is the Everglades watershed. It starts up here, and they call this the Greater Everglades ecosystem. It starts up here at Shingle Creek, all the way at the top. Shingle Creek is in Kissimmee. When you're driving down whatever road that is, 92 or something, let's say Shingle Creek, it's the headwaters for the Everglades. So the Everglades ecosystem starts up there, and of course, it's only a fraction of what it used to be. But this shows you the Greater Everglades ecosystem. So it's not just down here in Everglades National Park. Whenever you guys go anywhere up into this area, you're in the Everglades, and you're in the Everglades ecosystem. And here it is. This is the Greater Everglades watershed and ecosystem, which is all part of the South Florida Water Management District. So South Florida Water Management District does control all of that going up. So anyway, now we know what the Everglades is, because I think that ties into this presentation you guys are going to do with the FIU library, right? It has to be an Everglades photograph, but it doesn't have to be done in one of the parks or preserves. Here's the habitats that we have in the Everglades. You've got your hardwood hammock, you've got your pine rocklands, your freshwater marl prairie, freshwater slough, cypress, coastal lowlands, mangrove, and the marine. That's, oh, I looks like I spelled that wrong. Estuarian, which is out down like at Flamingo, out where the water floods into Florida Bay. And the one we're going to concentrate on today, for the most part, is the cypress. So the cypress dome. Hello. How are you? The cypress dome is in the cypress area, and the domes are where the water has gotten, or the ground is deep enough that the trees can grow taller, so they create that dome. The taller the tree, the deeper the muck, and the way it the deeper the muck, where its roots can really get down in and grow. So equipment, most of you guys know, we do bug tamer suits. They do get hot, but they help you a lot when the mosquitoes are terrible. So I want to go fast because, like I said, a lot of you guys know this stuff. So if you want me to slow down, throw something at me, I'd be happy to. Snake boots. You don't need them. I've never used them except when a friend of mine who was one of the directors of this club, Stephen Shelley, went out with me one time and he was afraid of snakes. And so he bought me a pair for Father's Day one year because he said, if you get bit by a snake, you're way too heavy to come to drag out. So I got you a pair of boots. And if you don't wear them, you get bit by a snake, I'm going to sit you down under a tree and I'm going to give you an e-perk and we'll just let somebody come pick you up. I have friends. So snake boots, the snake boots are waterproof to a point. So that is one way to go if you wish to. Sometimes I think they get a little cumbersome when you're out there trying to walk through the mud. Thermocells, these are a lifesaver because you can hang these under your tripod. They have some appliances where you can actually put on your belt if you wish to, but it does create about a 15-foot radius and keeps the mosquitoes off you. I had this working so well on one of the workshops. One of our guys, his bug tamer suit was hot, and it was hanging under his tripod. So he took his bug tamer suit off, and it was at the where's the campground at Long Pine Key, that lake where we're shooting sunrise. And he laid his bug tamer suit down, and there was no mosquitoes bothering him until he walked back to the truck to get a lens, and he got ate up. So they really do work. That's a butane cartridge. It screws into the bottom, and you put these in the top. It heats it up, and it puts off a smokeless, odorless vapor that just repels mosquitoes and keeps it off you. They're handy as all get out. And then this one happens to have a little light. So at night, if you have that one hanging on your tripod, it'll actually put off enough light. You can shoot it and illuminate stuff, but it don't make like you've illuminated it. I think most of you guys have that, right? Everybody's got a bug tamer of some kind or another. Mm-hmm. These flashlights I like. This is a code that they gave me for the F3C conference. When you over 30, you get a 30% discount. PowerTac is a company that I like and have a lifetime guarantee on it. And so you might say, well, you only use that at night. Well, I actually use it if I'm in the cypress dome and it gets dark and you don't have a strobe or won't wish to use a strobe, you've actually got a flashlight. You can illuminate it. And what I like about these guys is they are variable lumens. They don't even make this one anymore. So they've got different iterations, but they're variable lumens. And that comes on and you can't see it. And that's half a lumen. So sometimes when you're in these domes, you see a little bit of light on your orchid or your flower. You can hold that up and it'll light it. Plus, it's great at night, and that's part of the night photography talk. So I always carry my flashlight with me, even for daylight stuff. If I'm in there and I want to light something up. Holy crap! I have a battery that died. Oh, wait, come back on. Oh, it's telling me no. Wait, advance happened for me? This is the shit I was telling Ralph. I was having a stroke earlier because I didn't want to have to tell somebody to advance a slide for me. And here I am advancing the slide compass. If we walk into the dome, or if you walk into the dome on Saturday, the dome is right by the road. You can't get lost because if you're in tall trees, you're in the dome. You get outside the tall trees, you're outside of the dome. And you can hear cars go by. But we have walked in, photographed different things where you're far enough in that you want to at least know if the road is running north to south. You went into the and go to the east. It's a real handy little thing to do. And you don't need to learn how to land navigate like people had to do in the Army. But it helps you get back again. Next, I'm working on. And then for the farther distances, then you want to use an invert. There was a guy, and because I used to go out a lot by myself, my wife Charlene, most of you guys know Charlene, she made me buy one of those, and I keep it with me, and I can, if something happens to me, I push a button and help comes. And there was a guy rescued, I think it was last year from Fakahatchee Strand. He got turned around, so he was in a corner at one of where tram was at, and it runs in the corner, but one of the roads runs on an angle and it hurts, and he couldn't figure out where he was. He was going in circles. He ran out of water. Of course, it was summertime, so he's looking for the ghost orchid, and he went and got into panic mode, so he had to use his, and they did come out there and lift him out, and he was a heat casualty. So they do work. They're good to have. And the other That's why you want to make carry a compass if you're going in deep, is because if you get into a bunch of trees, it's not very accurate. All right, I think I'm gonna try. Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Dress for success. So this is what Bach Barber kind of wanted. Can we kill the lights a little bit? Is that possible?
Yes, yes.
They don't need to see me. There we go. So this is a guy that this gentleman, he was from New Jersey, and you can tell we're in one of the domes. You see how the water's not very deep in here. It's very muddy. And when I tell people we want to go out, we want to wear, this is how I go. And I used to wear a white shirt with a white t-shirt underneath, and people would say, well, isn't that kind of hot? The white fishing shirt was cotton, t-shirt was cotton, and then in the wintertime, cotton kills. In the summertime down here, cotton cools. So I was always cooler than everybody else. I didn't worry about the mosquitoes, but I told him how I dressed, jeans, boots that lace up, and he went out like that. And if you don't recognize it, that's a 200 to 400 millimeter lens. He hired me for a private workshop out there. And he looks pissed off, but we were almost done, but I think he got a little frustrated being out there. And as far as carrying the equipment you want to carry, you want to talk about style a little bit. Try to understand your style, because I always get that question. What lens should I take in with me? And it really depends. I used to tell him this is what I would do, but what's your style? And your style is going to dictate what lens it was. And he knew that he liked everything close up. And at 200 to 400, he shot birds, he shot spiders, he did stand back and shoot some flowers and things, but he understood the way he shot. So when you go into these things with your cameras and your lenses, try to identify your style and what you're hoping to achieve when you go in there. But sometimes they're like this. I don't think it's like that now. I think the water is deep. Well, I'm going to go out and try to confirm that one day next week. And so he's got these shorts on, short sleeve shirt. And that one, if you look at his shoes, he's wearing sandals. And he insisted on it. He didn't want to get his other shoes muddy. And I said, look, we can wash those shoes off. Well, he struggled walking in it. One of the sandals come off. You get that mud and crap underneath your feet. I don't recommend it. I like lace-up boots over the ankle. Just get an inexpensive pair from Walmart or somebody. And then if you get a boot dryer, which I think part of you got one of those. No, I got a boot dryer from Bass Pro Shops, $25. And if you put it on it dries. You wash them off real good. You put them on, it dries slow enough that it doesn't damage or hurt the leather. But you've got a good shoe to wear out there in the woods. Some of you heard me tell this story. These are two Mennonite girls that one of our other board members, Dale McChesney, you know Dale, asked me to take on the swamp walk out there. So the one on the left is actually wearing her veil. The one on the right is not. She took her veil off and left it in the truck. And when we went out there, they're in skirts. So that's actually a skirt. And these are just pants that are shorts. So I asked them to stay in one spot. I gave them a little safety talk. I asked them to stay in one spot, let me walk and make sure we got a nice path for you guys. Since you're not really, and they were wearing sneakers. You're not really dressed for this, but you're not photographers, so we're going to do a little hike. I got about 25 yards away from them, looking for my path. All of a sudden, I hear this blood-curdling scream, and it was this one. This one stepped on a stick. The stick went up, ran up her leg and up into her dress, and she thought something was attacking her. It scared the crap out of me. I tripped all over myself trying to get back to them. By the time I got to them, they were laughing. I said, you scared me. And I said, that's one of my talks. I said, use trees and your stick, your walking stick to walk. But if you step on something, your neighbor may get something that slaps them in the leg. Whatever you do, don't panic. That's when people get hurt. They fall down. Anyway, they had a blast. They'd never done it before. And but they weren't photographers either. But they had their walking sticks. I had given them walking sticks to use to make sure you can balance yourself. That is double dome, and I'm expecting double dome to be that or deeper when you guys actually take that walk out there. Is Jason gonna? He said he would. So you'll have a good guide with Jason, and he knows how to see things. But when you're out there, that's kind of what you're going to see, and you have to decide, what am I going to shoot? And one of the things you want to do, let's see if I can do it. There they are coming out of the woods. You can see they're both wearing, and they were pretty eat up by mosquitoes, even though I gave them bug spray. That's another lady I guided who's not a photographer, but she wanted to come out and see our swamps, and you can see what you'll be walking in. But look at the beautiful reflections. So if you're going with a group, you guys kind of want to walk together if you can, as close as you can, and you don't want to follow each other in a single file because you start to create ruts and trails. There's a natural tendency to want to do that, but if you can avoid it, treading lightly, spread yourself out, and just walk and meander through there, but try not to get ahead of somebody so you don't muddy up the waters in case they want to shoot a reflection. It's very tough to shoot in there with a group if the group doesn't try to work together. Martin Vandersanden, he decided he's going to wear gaiters. So he had his boots laced up, but he wanted to put these gaiters on too, just in case, because we do go through sawgrass to get out there, and they worked out pretty well for him. And you can see he's carrying a fanny pack. I don't like those personally, and so I'm going to share with you how I would do it. I don't like those because if you do fall down, and I've gone down on my knees, if you go down on your knees and some of that gets wet. I prefer to wear something over my shoulders and my back if I could. Bob Richardson, some of you guys know. That's Martin again. You can see this is that the no, that's one of his lenses. And there I have another one of him. But anyway, him and Martin, we were in this. This is the one they call Movie Dome. And there's a beautiful gator hole in there. So you walk up to the edge of the gator hole, and the gator's moving stuff around, and she's eating fish. And I positioned them side by side so they could photograph this alligator who's doing this beautiful stuff. And I said, now she's going to get curious. She's going to come over to you. And I said, Bob, when she comes up to you, don't panic. You step behind this tree. Martin, you step behind this tree, and I'm standing at the back with my walking stick. Because when I've got somebody, I don't shoot. So they're getting these great shots. And sure enough, she come over right in between them. Well, they forgot which way they were supposed to go. So both these guys run into each other. And it looked like, I don't know, it looked like the Two Stooges at the very least trying to figure out which way to go. They scared the crap out of the alligator. And but it's nothing out there is trying to hurt you, wants to hurt you. It's a beautiful place. It's a heck of an experience for those of you that haven't done it, but you do get wet, and I'm expecting the waters to be that high. But he was using the wider lens, and it looks like he's shooting this, but he wasn't. There was some ibises off in the distance, and he was trying to frame it with the ibises in there. This is what I'm talking about. So this was that's our buddy Bob. Another camera club. This young lady was from Taiwan. This is when we first had the camera club. I'm not sure if you were you on that trip?
I didn't go on that.
Okay, so she's from Taiwan. She found out about the camera club, and she wants to do something environmental like ours. And she asked if she can come along on the trip. We said, sure, come on. And you can tell they're wearing jackets. I think this was in February. And this is a that orchid right there is a cigar orchid. It wasn't blooming, but everybody's trying to shoot it. So you can see when you get out there and you're setting up tripods, everybody tends to get in everybody's way if you don't take turns, and you're not kind of thoughtful as you do this stuff. And backing up a little bit, you always want to have a walking stick because you always want to have people go down because they didn't have a walking stick and they stepped in a muddy spot, and the muddy spot didn't have a bottom to it. One of the shoes this lady decided to wear was a black rubber boot. And when I was able to go over and pull her out of it, the boot was down at the bottom. We actually lost the boot. This is in double dome on the backside. So that's why you want lace-up stuff, and you always want to have a tripod. Well, Bob goes out with me enough that we use our tripods as our walking sticks. We keep them folded up, and we probe the tripods when we're out there shooting.
If I could just add,
yes.
I've led tours out of applied butchers. Think of your walking stick as your third leg, and always have. And keeping that in mind, always have two legs on the ground.
Yes. See, yes, 3 points of contact if you can. Because if you can go over, you can get a soft spot and you're not there, so you can still go over with it. How mucky is it behind Clyde's out there?
I'm sorry, what?
How mucky is it behind Clyde?
It can get up to your hips.
The water can, but is the ground hard under there, or is it very?
It varies.
It varies.
It varies.
Yeah.
Just always at least have two of your legs, quote unquote, on the ground. That's the best way to walk.
And then you're carrying a camera, so you do want to be careful. And I've had people that they make it all the way through the dome, and they're usually tired by the time they come out. And as they come out of the dome is when they actually fall because they're rushing to get out. And they drop their camera. So I've had a few people ruin cameras, right? They did a beautiful job all the way around right as they're coming out, especially in double dome. It comes up a little bit. They rush to get out. They slip. Their camera hits the water. So, and you want to go slow. You always go slow when you're going through there. So getting the shot. So anyway, any questions on how to dress, how to approach it out there?
I would just add one thing about shoes. The most important thing is not to wear boots that could fill up with water. That's the last thing you want to do is have dumping water out of your shoe, boots in there. It's almost better to wear long jeans and lace-up shoes than, boots that could get worn.
Yep, that's over the ankle is what I like. And then the jeans. I did have a lady from New Jersey insisted on wearing, what do they call bogs? She insisted on wearing the bogs, and she wasn't the lady that lost her rubber boots, but what she did when she got out, she just dumped them out on the road, changed her shoes, changed her socks, and went on about it. So when you're on one of my trips, I don't tell you what to wear. I give you a suggestion, and it's in the form of this is what to expect. But it worked for her. But yeah, I like over the ankle laced up shoes. Cameras and lenses when you're going in. I make the decision before I go in, am I going to shoot landscape? Am I going to shoot wide angle? And I commit to that lens while I'm in there because it's really hard to change lenses. Martin had that one on his side, so he's able to pop one off, put another one in. But if you hit a deep spot, you go down when all your stuff gets wet. So I like to make a decision. I'm going to shoot landscapes in there now, or I'm going to go shoot. I'll take the 70 to 200 and shoot intimate flowers or orchids if they're blooming, or I'll take my fish eye and commit to that, or I'll take the 16 to 24. So I make a decision before I go in, and I usually just take one camera body and one lens, and not the big heavy stuff like that one guy took. But that's completely up to you guys. But all I'm doing is sharing my experiences. But if you know and understand your style, if you're a landscape person and you like to put something up close and shoot everything in there, then that's how you want to shoot. And as far as getting the shot, everybody likes to shoot from standing up here. When you're out there, don't be afraid to get muddy, to get dirty, and to try a different angle. On the workshops, everybody recognize that tree, the Z tree. Actually, it's an N tree until you lay down like he is, and then it becomes a Z. But you get out there, and the challenge is trying to shoot that 7 different ways because we've all shot it, and we've all shot it from the road with a reflection. One of your founding board members, Stephen, waited and parked his truck on the road about 1 o'clock in the morning with headlights on low beams and waited for the moon to come up. So he was trying to get something a little bit different. And that is what the tree I call the National Geographic tree. If you've ever gone out there and shot it, it's no longer by itself. All of these little things have grown up taller. But if you want to get that isolated single tree, you have to walk out there, and they're in about knee-deep water at that, and that's about 8 or 9 miles down the road. That is one of our directors, Stephen Shelley. You can see how deep it is there. Now he's carrying his backpack and his tripod, and I think he's got bug juice in there. So when you get out there, this is what to expect, and look at the beautiful reflections until a whole bunch of people walk by and stir the water up. And then you lose your reflections. How many people are going out? There's Martin. I wanted to show you this. That's the other appliance that he carries on his belt. And so you can see he's got short sleeves, and there's Bob over there. Short sleeve, but he's got that on, and that appliance putting vapor around him. And as long as you're not out there in the wind, it'll keep the mosquitoes off of you. And again, most of you guys know that. I probably should get past that. There's Martin. Everybody recognize that lake, right? We go out in the morning. You can't get the shot if you're not there. And you can't get the shot if you're not willing to walk in the water. They call that Sweet Bay Pond. And somebody here, I think, Valerie, did you walk out there with us early one morning to get a shot? Do you remember? You did. Yeah. I think that's you, or that's you over here. I think that was one of the mornings that we had all gone out together. But to get the shot in the Everglades, you can't be afraid of water. And you just can't wait for the dry down anymore, especially now that they've had this comprehensive Everglades restoration plan in progress. They're flowing more water. We've had more rains, but they're also flowing more water down there. So we're not going to get those big dry downs, I don't believe, that we used to. 50 Mile Bend. This was another one we had to hike into. It's not a far hike, a few hundred yards, but we're in water, we're in muck, and we went out there to photograph a sunrise over this. You might remember that because he was in this one. We got the alligator there. The sun was coming up, the God's rays. We tried to have a fog that happened. So Hugh and everybody lined up on the one side. That's you, right, Hugh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lined up on the one side over there. And I don't typically shoot when my group is shooting. And so I decided I'm just going to stay back and watch. And I walked around the other side of it, and I saw something, and I saw the fog starting. So I went ahead and set up. So sometimes when you're with a group, you might want to peel away from them to try to avoid getting the shot that they're getting. Now, you always want that been there, done that shot. But when you get out there and you're really going to start creating, you gotta try to think, you gotta know your style, understand your style, and try to get away from shooting the way everybody else shoots. So I went over there and I shot that. Now it's processed because see how orange it is. So in my camera, my white balance is set to to warm, 7,200 Kelvin, I think. So it looks warm, but I knew what I wanted to do when I processed it. And when I processed it, I actually made it a little bit bluer, but I'm on a different side of the lake than they are. And then the alligator comes over and gets closer to me. Bob Richardson, I like the way the lines were going up and I'm on his level. So you've always got to, I want you to keep your head on a swivel, whether you're in the cypress dome or you're out there, look for your leading lines and things and look for things in it. So this isn't a photograph I would enter in any competitions, but I was out there with Bob. This is the last day we were fishing together before he moved to Jacksonville. So I kind of recorded a moment, if you will. And if you had caught me a year after I took that, I'd cry because I had to start taking dolphin fishing with me instead of Bob. Oh, back to dolphin. Very first time I met dolphin, we're talking about being prepared in the Everglades. You're always prepared for biting insects, whether mosquitoes or deer flies. First time I met dolphin, I think he was probably dressed about like that at the transition area where we were trying to shoot a sunrise over those mangroves. And everybody out there know how bad the deer flies get out there. And Delphin was out there for that, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
And he still came back.
Never forgot it.
That was the very first time we met, the very first time he joined the camera club. And unless you're out there and you're in the water, you're not going to get shots like this, which I really like. That shot back in the slide film days. And I fished this lake and walk in. It's in Everglades National Park. And that fisherman and I would run into each other almost every week. And sometimes he was there before me, and sometimes I was there before him. We always respected each other. I went one way around the lake, and he went another way. One time I happened to have my camera with me, and the alligators lined up, and he went out to that point, and I took that shot. I don't know who he is. I never met him, but I liked that so much that I actually printed it. And when I went out there one morning, he was already there, and I never saw him, but I put a copy of it under the windshield wiper of his truck. So he can have a picture of him out there. I always thought that was cool. And the other thing, when you're in the Everglades and you're in Cypress Dome, don't think square. And if I get to some of my pictures, I'll show you. Notice that's more of a panoramic. We see, and the cameras are two to 3 ratio. When you're looking at something out there, you might want to think a different ratio and slow down. Water moccasin, of course, they always look like they're pissed off. In shallow depth field, my style is simple with shallow depth field 80% of the time. So somebody said, well, I wish that was in focus. Well, that would have been your shot, not my shot. So I know when I go out, I'm looking at shallow depth of field. And when you get into these cypress domes, let's see if I can get to one. When you get into these cypress domes, down low, you can see the crop on that. When you get out in these cypress domes, it's very, very busy. That's why I like using a lens that maybe I can go wide aperture. And I can soften the background. And you have to pay attention to everything out there. There's nothing neutral in your photograph. Everything will either add to or detract from it. So I like to find ways through large aperture, through positioning, through exposure to hide the background. When we talk about my composition talk, I tell you there's nothing more important than your subject, and there's nothing more important than your background. You have a great subject, shitty background, no shot. Great background, crappy subject, no shot. So you always want to pay, especially in that cypress dome, you want to pay attention to your background, unless you're trying to get that reflection, and you still want to pay attention to errant things coming in off of the side. And what I'll do a lot of times, I'll get the shot that I want. When I get back, I'll crop the area and lose some of the stuff. I think, I'm not sure where Jason heard it, but he calls it border patrol. Make sure you have no sticks and stuff coming in. And that's easier said than done. You guys have seen this one. If there's a signature on it, somebody owns it. That's a cloud. Midday, Scott Kelby says you shoot the golden hour. When it's done, you go have pancakes to go home. That's shot 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a hot summer day, because that's when the butterfly orchid blooms. I'm in the water on my knees with my macro lens, kind of looking up at this and putting a cloud behind it, and I'm exposing to the orchid and letting the cloud blow out, high key, and then finish the idea. So when you go into these cypress domes, don't always just let the camera meter and tell you where it should be, you're making a decision. I want that flower to glow. I'm going to underexpose, let the background go dark, or I want my background to go bright and I'm going to expose just for the flower. Like this. See the background? Nice and soft. Last thing you want to do is have somebody walk up and see a flower, a ghost orchid you shot, so that looks like flies. You want to see another that looks like Roberts. And that one will never be shot. Most of you guys have heard that story. I went out the next year to shoot that, saw it as a bud, went out 3 days after that to shoot it as a bloom. Somebody scraped it off a tree. I reported it back to Hatchie Strand. They knew about it the day after it was gone. And I reported it 3 or 4 days after it was gone. So, and you identify, and there's orchids in Double Dome when you walk in there. There's butterfly orchids and there's the cigar orchid in there. Cigar orchid blooms in March and the butterfly should be waning down. But what identifies this as a ghost, see these little white dashes? Those little white dashes, it's a leafless epiphyte. So you don't have that for 50 weeks out of the year. And then you start to get that spike and then in 2 weeks it's gone. So when you're out there looking in the cooler months, you're looking for a leafless epiphyte with those little white dashes on it, the little highway. That's how you identify a ghost. And that flower looks big, but you could have covered it with a quarter. That's a macro shot. And then this was a little bit different. I wanted to show the pod, a bit of a seed pod that blew apart. So this, I was trying to show more than just the orchid on that. I wanted to show you some more of what it is, and it's more than just a bloom. Anybody been out with me to that or know where that was at? Everglades National Park, down near past Perota's Pond. That was a specimen that no longer exists. One of the hurricanes a few years ago blew it down. So anyway, I'm down low, seed pod. I wanted to get that. The light's not really great. So in my mind, am I thinking, am I creating this? I wouldn't enter into a contest or anything, but I wanted to photograph it. Notice how this tree goes up and that branch goes up. I'm positioning myself. So when we take a shot, and it's hard to do when you're in a swamp because you're nervous, you're afraid of spiders and snakes and all that. Slow down, take a deep breath and look at what you're looking at and actually feel what you're looking at and decide how you're going to take that shot. I'm not sure my alarm is back on. You gotta let me know when I hit 7:50. You're good. This one's in my book, and it was just more of a specimen shot. Middle part of the day, Bob Richardson was with me. The way the sun was hitting that and lighting it up, one of my favorite times to be in the Cypress Dome is mid-morning or mid-afternoon, because the sun is coming in and reaching down into it instead of sunrise or sunset. So we used to either go in at 10 or 2. So what time was your field trip? What time you guys going into it?
You told me to meet at 7.
And more meeting at 7 in the morning. By the time we get out there, we'll be in at 9.
Should be meeting at the parking lot.
That's 7.
We should be there by and getting in by 8.
Oh, I know why too. We're in daylight savings time.
Yeah.
The sun will be high.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did take the time that I thought we'd have for 3 hours after sun. Because where we're going to go in at, if Jason goes my direction, the sun will be coming up and illuminating in, so we can put our backs to it. We can find our orchids and stuff. Sahara sands in the swamp. That's just some of these I'm going to go through real quick so I don't run out of time. I left that in right place, right time. You can't get a shot if you're not out there. Nobody else will ever get that shot. And that's what you want to look for as a creative, an artist. You want something that nobody else is going to get, something that is interesting. And that was Pahaoki Overlook. And you could, now that I told you where it's at, but the owl had woke up and hooted. That crow come out of nowhere, started chasing him around. So if you're not out there, and you're not listening, and you're not, what do they call it, aware or mindful, you may miss something. And a lot of people get in, it's hot, the mosquitoes are bad, I'm going to get in my car and go, and they'll miss the shot that they hope to get, the shot that identifies their style. You guys all know where that's at. That's in the Cypress Dome. It's in the book. I just say Cypress Dome. That's in the small Cypress Dome that's just down the road from Double Dome. And in March, these Everglades daisies come up. I told you my style was shallow depth of field. This is the exception to that. This is F22. And I wanted to get all the daisies back in there, and I wanted to show, and since it's March, there's no leaves on our trees yet. Our cypress trees is our only deciduous conifer. So in the wintertime, it loses all of its leaves, but it starts to come back a beautiful Kelly green. So when you go into these cypress domes, you you have to decide when you're going to go in and what you're going to get. If you want the big lush greens that are really good with black and whites and monochromes, you're going to do that in the summer when nobody else is out there. If you want no leaves on it, you can reach back in. You want to go in the wintertime. And that's the other thing too, is there's no more special time in the Everglades, in my mind, than the summer. You get those big, beautiful clouds, you get the beautiful greens that lends itself to monochrome, or it lends itself to some real pretty color photos. Any questions so far? Shit, I mean, you guys have all done this
You
before.
got 25 minutes.
Huh?
It's only 7:05.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit on some other things too. So these are the butterfly workers you can find out around there and also inside the cypress dome. Yes, ma'am.
Is it going to be recorded?
It is being recorded. Okay, we'll stop recording as soon as you leave. No, it's all right. Thank you for showing up. This is actually a bigger group than the last time we talked to you. This is like last time. That's all right. And I love the venue, by the way. Thank you. This is awesome. But when you're out there shooting the butterfly orchids, they only bloom in the summertime. And you go out there with a macro lens or your 70-200 or maybe even a 300-2.8, and so you can tell what background is soft with bouquet. And this one was shot in that cypress dome, and you can tell the background's dark because I had light coming in. It was hitting that. And so what I did is I underexposed by about 2 stops to illuminate that. And when I did it, it looks like it's flashed, but when I did it, it dropped the background out. So you don't want to shoot auto, you don't want to shoot pro. You want to try to learn to use aperture and shutter speed to get what you want. And so I'm going to sidebar a little bit. There's only 2 settings in your camera that allow light to get to the sensor. There's only 2, aperture and shutter speed. Aperture controls depth of field. Shutter speed controls motion. Period, exclamation point. So I might say, well, what about ISO or ISO? ISO is turning up the sensitivity to your sensor. It's not allowing light to come in. It's changing the way. Think of this film. We used to buy the 25, the 50, the 100, the 200, the 400. That was film sensitivity, and that's all ISO is. ISO is. It's film sensitivity. You can crank it up if you want, and that's why most of us want to shoot on a tripod, so we can leave our ISO down, and we can get the clarity that we want, so we can make our images large. If you've ever been to my house, I've got some really big images. And they were shot with some of them 16 megapixel cameras. So it's not in the megapixels, it's in the technique and the way you shoot. Now, and if somebody says, well, I use, what's that brainy software? Topaz. If you use Topaz and you understand it, crank your ISO wherever you want it so you can get it, but you're adding light, but you're not changing the motion or the aperture, because that's all it does. And then I go into this on another one. I usually ask people, how many people shoot manual? All right, in manual, for you manual guys, you didn't raise his hand because he's smart. What is your first setting in manual? When you walk up to a subject that you want to shoot?
It depends. It depends. If I'm shooting, I normally try to do aperture first. See if I have depending on the background, then I'm going to focus or not, or I'm going to.
Perfect. Yes. So yes. Now you're controlling that field, right?
Yeah.
Did you say yes? What's your first setting?
9% time aperture. Productive.
What's your aperture? You are not manual, you are aperture priority. It's that simple. And you said it beautifully. You said aperture first. And it does depend. If I'm shooting NASCAR like you guys, I'm usually shutter speed priority because I want to be at 160th of a second. So when I pan with the car, you get wheel motion, you're freezing the door, but the wheel motion in the background. That's, and then at night, of course, we just go manual because we have to dial it all up whatever we can get. And the reason I bring this up is there was a speaker at the last Camera Club Council thing who was, I guess he was the keynote, and he said, I hate it when instructors teach people to be aperture priority. or shutter priority, or whatever priority. You should always shoot manual. You're a professional if you shoot manual. And so I was with Bob Richardson, and he elbowed me in the ribs, and he said, he's talking to you. I said, well, I know he is. And I said, but let's listen to him. And he went on farther, and he says, okay, when you're going to shoot these birds that are flying across there, you should set your camera to f8. I elbowed Bob back. I said, that's aperture priority. That's your first setting. And the reason we shoot priorities and we do the semi-manual mode is if you're panning with something and the light changes, the aperture never changes and you never lose your shot because it's always metering. Same thing, NASCAR or whatever. So, but I'm aperture priority until I'm not. And I've got f1.2 lenses and f2.8 lenses. And you don't buy a lens that's that aperture and not use it because you're just wasting your money if you don't. But there's a reason for it, like you said, depth of field. You want to control your depth of field, but don't confuse shooting manual with anything else, because if you set your aperture at f2.8 here and the sun is over your shoulder, and let's just call it the sunny 16 rule, and you've got it at one over your ISO, and it's a perfectly exposed shot. As soon as you turn this way, that sunlight is no longer perfectly exposed. It could be darker. If you're an aperture priority, you're saying, I don't want you to change my depth of field. If the sun gets covered by a cloud, I still want my depth of field. You automatically make the adjustment so I don't miss the shot. And that's my approach. And that's actually, I just practiced on you guys when I do it Florida Camera Club Council in March. I'm doing 6-7 talks there. But it's just another way to think. When you step in, I'm going to shoot aperture priority. I want my depth of field. Now I'm going to, and this one was underexposed because I didn't want the light to change. And then if the light does start to change, so it's underexposed by 2 stops. If the light starts to change, I still keep my underexposure, but I still keep my aperture, but my shutter speed could go up or down to do that. Everybody understand that? Did I ramble enough that made any damn sense at all?
Perfect.
Perfect sense. So, and that was another shutter first and automatic ISO. Well, your shutter priority, and you're letting your camera make another decision for you. You're not even taking control of your camera. And we pay thousands of dollars for these cameras to set them in auto mode. And if you're going to do that, just buy an auto camera.
I like fever.
Yeah, it does. The funny part about program mode, you can actually have it underexposed too. So there is more. Program is not fully automatic. You're kind of saying, I want to maintain this amount of light, but then what does it change? Does it change the aperture, the shutter speed, and that's just knowing your equipment. Fakahatchee Strand, you see how deep it is, and when you guys get into some of these places, look how busy it is. What do you pare this down to actually shoot? And we were scouting for the ghost orchid, and I think it was summertime or early summer. We didn't find any in there, but now you got to try to find something to shoot that's interesting. So you just start to practice, and as you can tell, that was my 16 to 35 millimeter lens. And that's the other thing to look at too when you're looking at other people's photos. Try to imagine what lens they were using. If you assume a full frame sensor, try to imagine what lens they use if you something you want to try to replicate. This is one wide lens. I was looking for something to shoot. This tree actually right there is a ghost orchid that's not blooming. So what I did was I put myself down. Captain Ozzy and I was out here for this one. Put this in it, let it go down. I had my aperture tiny f22, and then I just kind of framed it like that, just because I was liking what was going on. So people walk in, and Ozzy has this idea that people go into places and they say, well, there's nothing here to shoot. And Ozzy and I was talking, and he feels like when you step into someplace, there's that one perfect shot where you are when you're there. You just have to be mindful enough to find it. And now, some of us know him. He was on the airboats. My buddy moved to Pennsylvania. So you got to make your decision on what you're trying to shoot, what you're trying to convey. And the idea is to shoot something that impacts your viewer. So notice the crop on this. I didn't want to show you all of this back here. I wanted to show you the ghost orchid on the tree. That's another thing that I do too, is I don't let the camera dictate what my art should look like. They give us cropping tools to crop things. And somebody said, well, that's not the way you saw it. Well, no, I'm not trying to show you the way I saw it. I'm trying to show you the way it made me feel and the way I want you to see it. And so you get the guys who call themselves purists, which really aren't, because your camera is also a computer. So if you're shooting JPEG only in auto mode, your camera's processing it, and the engineers are telling it how bright to shoot, what aperture to shoot, and you're letting the camera do the processing work. And I do a talk. I also do a talk on how to get the most out of your camera shooting JPEG, because there's a lot of settings in there where you could shoot it, you could ship it off to like Miller Labs, and they'll print it out for you. This is in Big Cypress. This is an area where there was just a ton of ghost orchids. They weren't here. Full disclosure. This was a shot when we were out there, and it was kind of rainy, and everybody else just wanted to shoot the bloom of the ghost orchid. And so while they were waiting for me, I went over and I took a shot here. And I shot this knowing that this is the orchid woods. I think we photographed more than 20 ghost orchids that particular day. They weren't at this spot, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put something together that I can put on the wall and show you guys where the ghost orchid lives. And that's why you got this one here, you got this one here. There's actually a bud up there somewhere. There's a clamshell. When you come to my house, I'll show you. There's a clamshell there. There's a water moccasin there. There's an alligator over here. That is the cypress swamp compacted down into one location. And if you're with Jason, and I'm hoping I can go, there's places inside Double Dome where I used to be able to find snakes all the time. And they're fun to see and they're fun to shoot. And if we haven't been to pools now, they'll be sitting in sunny spots. So if you guys walk through that, walk slow, be careful where you lean, because you don't want to lean against something. And because I teach to hold on to trees and 2 or 3 points of contact, if you put your hand on a tree and you feel something crawl across your knuckles, don't just pull your hand away and step back. You might fall and hurt yourself. Odds are you disturbed a spider that just ran across your fingers. But when you're out there, if there's something that's this high and there's a beam of light on it, don't walk over and lean against it. Odds are there'll be a snake somewhere in it or around it, especially in the cooler months, because they will climb up, they will get high, and they will find places for spotlights out there. That one water moccasin I showed you earlier, he was in a spot down low where there was a beam of light coming in, and he was just sitting there trying to warm up. So, but they are out there, but they're not trying to hurt you. You just have to keep your head on a swivel here in their area, and just pay attention to what you're doing, because they will set on places like this. If you're going to walk under something, look at it before you walk under it. Clearly, they'll get on places like that, and just pay attention to where you are and look for things. If you ever played those games we used to do, and we're sitting at the dentist office, what was called highlights, we had to find stuff. That's the game I play up there. Is I look for something that shouldn't be there, or something that seems a bit out of place. Even though snakes are in place, they're different than the trees that they're on. So you want to pay close attention, and you want to be the one to find it, and not let somebody not walk by it. We're close to the end now. So this work becomes something I'm trying to teach people to find your voice. And that's one of my talks, is finding your voice. What does your photography look like, and can it be identified? And our photography is going to look a lot alike on a lot of different levels, but you should have a style, as long as most of you guys have been shooting, that's going to start to show itself. But sometimes you just want to create just because you're there. And so I did. I shot just because I was there. You recognize the lake. I'm not sure that those trees are even there anymore, 1 or 2 of them. And it was the sunset. We might have been with a camera club or a workshop, and the moon was there. I liked it. And don't forget, the moon is always smaller than that. It's never that big. I lassoed it because I wanted it to appear more than what it was. I expanded it so it was actually too big, went too small, and worked myself into it. And I just created it, and I had it on my website when I was doing workshops, just to show people these are some of the things I'll teach you that you can learn. And the lady calls me up, she goes, I want to buy that. And I'm like, cool. All I got to say, she wanted 24 by 36. Dr. Oz said her husband worked all night long, had to sleep during the day. Dr. Oz said, if you're going to design a room for somebody who works all night long, you want to do it in nighttime colors. So she used that image to design the bedroom, which I was on. So I had to find a way to print that 24 by 26 for her. I would have never expected to sell that. I didn't think it was one of those. You never know who you're going to reach. And especially when you get into the swamp and you're showing somebody something that they're never going to do on their own. And the lady that was in that image, that was just standing there with a camera around her neck, Mrs. Neely, she's the lady that saw that about 2 years after I took her on a swamp walk and told me she wanted it. You guys recognize that? That's from the cover of the book. I walked up to it and I was standing on the side of the road, 200mm lens, trying to figure out how am I going to shoot this tree that nobody else has ever shot. And I'm at F2.8, my camera's all set, ready to go, right? We don't want it to say, well, I got that same shot. I stood there for a second and that crow landed. And as soon as and I'd already taken a test shot. So I was underexposed by a couple of stops because I wanted to try to show the glow of the sunset and the sunrise. That crow landed, I threw it up to my eye, I took one shot, I looked down at the chimp and he flew off. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be the cover of my book. And so, that wasn't the intent at the time. The intent was to try to find something new. But if you shoot enough and you store all this stuff, you may decide you want to create something bigger, a legacy project, which is something that I've talked about to other camera clubs, is create something that we can leave behind to friends and family or whoever even cares about us. So you can see where it was cut here. So what I did is I put the marquee tool there. And you know how they had the expand, put the marquee tool, Control T, and I pulled the top up just so I can get it. I can just get it tall enough to put text at the top or copy. They call it copy, right? I got to use the right language. You can only buy that book now. They bought my last 200. You can only get it at Florida National Park Association.org, which everybody that's a member of this club can get that 15 or 20% discount off of. It's a $20 book and you can get a discount, but that's the only place to get it online. If you go into Co or some of the other visitor centers in the Big Cypress, you'll find it in those too until they run out. Some of you know what this shop is. This was one of those. I was out there waiting to go on a boat ride with Park Service, and it was at Flamingo. Lens 200 2x teleconverter by the bathroom because in the grass, the mosquitoes were too bad. I set it up and I saw these guys come across. Took a couple of test shots, underexposed by a couple of stops. Remember, the camera's trying to make everything a middle tone, and that isn't what I wanted. That isn't what I was trying to convey. That isn't what I wanted you guys to see. So I underexposed by 2 stops to try to get the silhouette and figure in ground. They were drifting just as these birds went by and ripped off a shot and got it. I'm looking at that shot, and as soon as I glanced, and he had cast it at the same time. And if you look somewhere here, right there's this fly. After I got that shot, I'm thinking, wow, that's a really good shot. Well, he went to cast again and it's hard right there. Cool shot. But this became, because somebody else saw it, I'm shooting for me, somebody else saw it, that became the tag. Who's got the tag? You got it? Thank you. You got it? Thank you. Q. You have an army tag. You know, get rid of?
No,
Okay. If you have a voucher, I did mine on my company trucks and my personal vehicle, mid-cycle. If you wait till you get your mail again, it says it's renewable, that's when you go get it. And I picked up my 9 down at Cabin here. They were just so nice down there and they had a ton of them. But that became the tag. I noticed to make the tag, I had to make sure there was nothing in it that didn't belong. See that stick is gone? Cloned it out. A little bit tighter crop. That's the size of the tag. And, well, that's the image. So I have some of these I'm selling as limited edition. And you see it's 20 by 10, and some of them we've given away for raffle. If you got raffle early on, there was a raffle for it, but that's the tag. That's on the back of my truck. You'll see Barb's car. It's on the back of the car. And what that does is it's $25 extra for a specialty plate, but it supports Everglades National Park. It's written in law. It can only stay in Everglades National Park. And a month ago, we gave $87,000 to Everglades National Park to the association, Florida National Park Association. Proceeds from that tag to do water quality studies in Florida Bay, and that was the first draw. So if we maintain 3,000 more, that's $25 a tag every year, and it goes right into the park for monies that they would have to pull from somewhere else to support scientific studies, education, research, and just, I guess scientific studies research are the same thing. But I didn't shoot with this in mind. I photographed because I liked it, and you share it with somebody, and Steve and Shelley saw it, and he said, hey, can we have that? So I donated that to the association as a fundraiser for Everglades National Park. So when you're out there and you're shooting, create the best you can create, and then put it somewhere where people can see it, and you never know what's going to happen with it. Hugh put one up on a wall that was a photograph of me that I bought off of him, put in my Everglades room. So it was a fire, right?
It's a fire out there at, Gatorhook.
Yeah, okay. We were Gatorhook, and I think the morning was beautiful, and it really wasn't that interesting. All of a sudden, smoke from that fire rolled in, as I recall. So you never know. That's why have me buy one of your photographs, put my ass in it. Share the wonder through your lens. And here's a photo challenge for you guys. Create 4 images in the Everglades. Make them this year. Let's get together in December, share your images, thought processes, and challenges. So this is better. I can stand up here and talk about the challenges and my experiences with it, but until you've been with it, and Ray, we walked in the Fakahatchee Strand, right, off the road there. He's a tall dude. That water was waist deep on me. I think should put his picture, and I got a picture of him in there. But then we can sit down and discuss the challenges that you had. I've got my Everglades room that's almost done. Barb's been over. We'll come over. We'll have some whiskey and talk photography. But that's the challenge this year. And the other thing that this does, I think, it ties into your exhibit.
Yes.
Or when do we have to submit stuff for the exhibit?
I had the date and I left it.
Okay. Who's going to participate in that library thing at FIU? Yeah, no, I think it's about due. We have to give. I haven't given them anything either.
I think it's the 20th.
Yeah.
Of November.
So it goes to the road now.
Yeah.
And I have talked to the association. Our executive director, Justin Pierce, she graduated from FIU, and they want to participate in the putting brochures, the tag, things like that in some of the glass cases. So they do want to be a part of that, especially since the Park Service already has their sign. And I think that's all I got. Any questions? Do we want to discuss anything? Do we want to say I'm full of crap on anything? Because that's always the fun part for me.
I wanted to say when Mary was here, she had a number for I've never. When you talked about the boots, you know, it's like just like anything in photography, it depends. You want more boots? It depends. How high is the water? If the water is going to be above your boots, you don't want boots.
Well, and
It will get in there, like she said. If it's not, you know, if your water is only ankle deep and you got knee-high boots, go for it.
but the lady Janet, her husband came down from New Jersey. She wanted to wear them, and they moved up to her knee. But what she did teach me is she kept them on feet. It didn't come off like that. That doesn't want to off food. She got back to the truck, found it out, drive off the thing, and threw the boots in the back of the truck. So it did work for her. It doesn't work for me because I need something to hold my hand. And because you do step on things and you can twist it. A friend of mine tried those gloves for your feet, you know, where your toes come out and everything. And that was awesome because by the time we got back to the truck, it was so full of mud, he was limping. So, you know, these are my recommendations. If you find another way to go out, because I think some other photographers go out barefoot along with the kayak.
I think Mark Sweeney
Yeah.
already did.
So I'm only sharing my experiences, my recommendations, and usually I'm thinking from a place of safety and not necessarily getting wet.
If you can find it, then there's a reason they're called jungle boots.
Yeah.
There are drains at the base. So you walk through there, you come out, you drain out, change your socks, and you're good to go.
That's all I used to wear back when I was younger because we had Army Navy stores, and I can go pick a pair up for $10, $12, and like I said, they got the vents in it. So, can you even find those still?
Yes.
You can. Yeah.
I bought some water shoes a few years ago there. And they're like tennis shoes, but they have holes, not like sandals. They're actually laced up. I've never worn them.
But they drain, and I think that's
Yeah.
because I used to wear Red Wings, I wear Red Wing work boots, and they do get heavy when you get out. Yeah, then you just kind of pull them off. But I used to hike out for 10 years. Brian Time Outright, Red Wing, they got a boot oil she put on it, and they'll go forever if you take care of it. But you have to take care of them. You have to be afraid not to get wet. And you can always find a reason not to shoot. I'm asking you to find a reason to shoot. And I'll be out a lot next year because I haven't done hardly any shooting this year, and I'm going to be in a creative mode. And so I'm going to spend a lot of time in the Everglades or in the greater Everglades ecosystem, not just the park, creating for me and hoping to invite somebody along for the ride. ¿Qué más? What else? Everybody's happy? Do I have another story I can share?
It's November 22nd, it's confirmed.
November 22nd is when we have to turn in our images for review.
Yeah.
As I recognize that group?
Yeah. We're always,
It starts off when I woke up this morning at the sun. That's my alarm. Oh, somebody's gonna ask me something, what?
Rob, can you go back one slide, see that project that you have for December? There you go.
And that's just a challenge. I mean, if you guys do it, we
In
all,
November.
we know how it is. And the thing is, I gave that challenge to people in February, so I'm rehashing this from my conference talk in March. But, this, and KCC has this problem too, they put challenges together. And people are going back and getting their photos from 20 years ago, when they're really, the photography is changed. And it gets me frustrated, especially when I go on, I say, well, that's only 70, it's this, why is it more? But, James does it. James travels the world and it's like stuff for everybody to see. But there's a lot of folks that just go back and recycle what they did. But if you can't get out, you can't get out. But that's always the challenge, is to try to get out, try to create, and leave a legacy. There's labs, you can print books and stuff like that and share them with people. Give them those Christmas gifts. If anybody give me one Christmas gift, it's going to go on my bookshelf to my Everglades room. Kirsten Hines, I bought her. She got a couple of her books in my Everglades room for people to look at. So, and I'll be working on one of those projects too.
I just signed up for a webinar. Of course, it's gonna be the night that I have my own. But Brooks Jensen is gonna talk about city projects.
Okay.
They're mixed over. Of course, it's his night is the same night as my post-processing clubs. Like, we're gonna have to watch replay. But Brooks Jensen, he's like, hey, all that.
Well,
Right.
years ago, I was a member and I downloaded every podcast he had. Some I agree with, some I don't. And I used him to share this one example I used to teach photography is all about the light. And that's kind of what we're talking about. And it's how you use the light. He says, I hate it. When photographers teach or they talk about it, it's all about the light. It's not about the light, it's about the emotion. I started thinking about it, and he's right. So I changed the way I teach in the composition talk to say, photography on the wall in the book is all about the emotion, and you need the light to express the emotion. No light, no emotion. So they do tie together, but it starts with the light. And you saw the way I used it. Most of my stuff is underexposed. I think I showed you one that was overexposed. I'm reading the light. I'm understanding what I want to try to convey to you guys. So I'm using the light to create something that gives us or you that emotion. And there's nothing better when somebody walks in and sees something and it takes their breath away. I've only had a few that actually had that happen and then they buy it. That's the other thing too. Somebody's willing to pay you a lot of money for some of your work. But when I just show something sometimes and people will gasp or people will start to talk about it and want to try to emulate it, that's super cool. And I think that's why we create too. Or maybe I don't know. That's a whole nother talk into the psychology of why do we do what we do. But you're halfway nuts if you walk in the Everglades, but you need to do it because you can't see it from the road. Now, having said that, Ansel Adams, Snake River shot from an overlook on the side of the road. So there are things you can see from the road, but to that intimate Everglades, what we're trying to do, I think the club's trying to do at FIU, you gotta be intimate with it. You gotta get in. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming out. This is my first talk after the surgeries, and I'm happy to be back.
happy to have you.
probably, I'm starting to.
Everybody.
My nose,